Hey guys, I figured since it's a nicer night or a day, I'd do a little change of scenery. But um, big freaking news! I'm back from spending time with family and the holiday break. Um, man, man, Paramount Tactical. I I couldn't have said it better myself as Baron did. Man, doing the Lord's work for us. Shoddy alibis, man. Mitch's son, of all people. I mean, yes, confirmed that he is a POS, but we all kind of knew that. Valhalla and his emotional reservations for abuse and being a con artist and stolen valor. I agree, man. But like I said the other night, it does not mean whatsoever that he didn't see who he saw. And I got a quote. Dee Dee has a podcast. This is the first time I've seen this kid's podcast. First time ever. And it's right on the nose. He said, and I'm looking down because I have my notes here. He said, when a crime is committed in hell, the witnesses will not be angels. And that's exactly what I was saying, man. And even if he didn't see it and he's an op and he's told to run a disinformation campaign, that doesn't mean anything, because everything that they have done up until now, Harpole's interview, any shit that they've said on TPUSA, social media, the the Charlie Kirk show, anything has been half truths and lies. So, and I got to move on from that, but it'll come back up. Now I want to say this, and it's gonna be hard for me to read because it is dark out, but it's such a beautiful night. So this is a little bit of a monologue. I'm not going to do monologues, but what this episode is going to be, this is a timeline and recapping and summarizing everything that we know did and did not happen all together, so that we can keep everything together in one spot. So there's not picking and choosing information from everywhere, because that's the big problem. And a lot of misstepping and new discoveries are just revelations that a lot of things correspond with each other. All right, so this is the monologue that I'm going to read. Oh, I almost have my papers and my phone. Yeah, it's windy out. Oh my God. Well, there goes half my notes. If you excuse me for a second, I'm gonna pause this. Okay. So, I guess we started recording. Okay. All right. Murphy's Law, people. Murphy's Law. All right. I might actually have to break out a flashlight to see this. Oh God, I hope it's not gonna screw up the video. Let's see. I'm sorry, I just gotta take advantage of the fact that we're outside and it's nice out. All right, okay. Holy God. All right, maybe I'll do this. Is that good? No, that's terrible. Oh my God, that looks terrible. Goosebumps. Are you afraid in the dark? Okay. All right, seriously, let me see here. Does this make it look better? Or maybe, actually, nope. I gotta figure out a good way to do this. This is so bright. All right, this looks goofy. It does. It looks goofy. I'm sorry. Okay. Charlie was a very influential voice of young conservative. Oh, God. Charlie was a very influential voice of young conservatives, and his foundation played a pivotal role in politics, and still kind of does. You have Bibi Netanyahu on a propaganda run currently in the U.S. to keep their grip on the future leaders and voters. And there goes the wind again. They are losing their control and influence. We are sick of fighting their genocidal wars built on lies, murder of innocent people, including Americans, based on false flags and stand-down orders. They control by fear and blackmail, silencing, jailing, and killing anyone who gets in their way. JFK, journalists, Trump possibly, maybe even Kirk. Charlie not only had influence, but he had the ear of the first president since JFK who could not be controlled. Trump is a narcissist, yes, and cares about his legacy. Who has the influence to make someone like Trump destroy his own legacy? Charlie Kirk stood to influence the youth, press and change the tide. Killing him would also put anyone else in check. Patsies have been failing, but a guaranteed op with a patsy to blame, now that can fix everything. Who can influence top brass to execute a plan, whether blackmailed or ordered? The sins of a few do not make all guilty. And I wrote that just to kind of go back to Valhalla. And I get it, brother. It is semi-insulting. And it comes off that way. But honestly, it's not. It's not an insult. There is shitbirds everywhere. And often, high-ranking officers or high-ranking people in the military sometimes suck. They're the worst. The people on the ground, the people that are doing the heavy lifting are typically the good ones. And the report doesn't include that. They're not saying the military or people or actual special operators. They're not saying that. The report of and insider Mitchell was saying top brass, people that have high status. And clearly we now are confirmed that he was in the military. He was where he was by Mitch's son saying that they called him. So chill out. Unless you got the call, then whatever, man. Then we'll just move on. But if not, and you're still on our side, man, chill out. Chill out. Stop taking offense. I think your judgment is being clouded by emotion. I'm trying to find a good way to put this without it looking fucking weird. Excuse my language. Okay. But it's weird. The panic, the facts add up, but the alibis don't. Propaganda campaigns to distract, discredit, and disavow, push narratives, divide. It's all a psyop to scare and influence to create division, and then push enough time so that the people say F it and move on, and then nothing changes. And we saw that with the Epstein files. Epstein wasn't arrested yesterday. He didn't pass away at the hands of whoever, clearly not himself, if he truly is dead, and that's to be questioned, whether or not he's actually in Israel being protected. But that's a story for another time, which I promise I will touch. Well, for the lack of better words, will go over and report on. But we can't let this, like anything else, just be something in the past that we couldn't change and just have to deal with and let conspiracies run and nothing gets fixed, because it is getting too rampant. I can go on a tangent, but let me finish this. It's clear there is a cover-up. It's clear Tyler Robinson is a patsy to be blamed. Private planes, secret meetings, precision explosive devices, planning and training, rehearsing and executing. A botched assassination and the cover-up that was pre-planned foiled. And what I mean by that, botched assassination, clearly they fucked up trying to kill Trump. There is evidence that the FBI, or someone at least from the FBI, was in fact corresponding and meeting up with I just had the name on the top of my head, and it might happen a couple more times, leading up to the attempt. So that was a failed attempt. And then the second guy, if it was the same conspirators, failed again. So what do? You put the device on his chest and you hope that, ensure that it goes off, detonates, and explodes in his, and blows a hole in his chest, and then you have your patsy not fuck up to blame. Well, guess what? They fucked up. And I believe Harpool was the trigger man, because he was the only one that really wasn't looking at Charlie Kirk at the time of detonation, and he didn't see that Charlie Kirk was on his way back to sitting back. That's why his shirt was loose, and the lapel mic went like this, and it went like this, and then it got stuck in his neck. The narrative, or anyone pushing the narrative, or to stop looking, is not to be trusted. I don't think anybody can be trusted. Don't trust me. I listen to Candace Barron. I love them. I trust them-ish. I trust them so far. But anybody can get the call. Anybody can get threatened. Anybody can get flipped. Don't trust anyone, and definitely don't trust anyone that's telling you not to look into this, and that's pushing this Fed slob narrative. Moving on. Let's see here. Now, Sorry, my son was trying to come out. And here comes my other son. Hold on. Sorry. Now I'm going to start with this, because it's a bit of a timeline, and I think a lot of it has to do with each other. I'm going to have to make separate episodes detailing a lot of the stuff, but I want to make a recap. Okay? So I'm just going to start with the beginning of this presidency. All right? You got a wild card whose only thing that he cares about is his legacy, his family, money, people knowing him, and power. I mean, but at the end of the day, his legacy meant a lot to him and means a lot to him. Trump. He came into this administration wanting to be the peace president, the one who barter peace, to stop the fighting, to be the one to be world renowned, all this bullshit. He even, at the beginning of this Iran-Israel shit, when it started to pop off, could be heard saying they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And that was when Israel started bombing. He was pissed. He ran on releasing the Epstein files and all of this bullshit. That was going to be his legacy. And then he flipped. He looks terrified and then pissed. When he said, "You still talking about this Epstein shit?" Hold on. Give me 1 second, people. When he said this, you know what? I think I have to go. So actually, I'll be back. All right, false alarm. So, what I really wanted to get into was a quick synopsis. And I'm going to do solo videos breaking down each thing, and that will have all of the information, clips, and everything in it. Okay? So this is just going to be once again another one of me just talking like the last two quick ones. And I'm going to be occasionally looking at my notes. So, you have Trump and his legacy. Now, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel both ran on Epstein files and cutting out the corruption and cleaning house at the FBI. And then all of a sudden, they both look scared shitless when they start flipping on the Epstein shit. Dan Bongino quit. Kash Patel is clearly either bought out or he's just happily comfortable just going with it with his new girlfriend. It's absolute insanity. And it's clear that they're being controlled by fear or they're being blackmailed. And regardless, that started the domino effect. And there's this power grab and panic from Bibi because you have your number one you have your number one person that's influencing young conservatives and the youth to essentially who's starting to change his mind. And the timeline begins with Candace dropping the Macron series, and then you have Trump and Trump and friends scrambling to get her to stop, including Kirk. Kirk has the president's ear, and Trump valued Kirk's takes on shit and his opinion. You got then April comes. And then April, you have the veteran who debates Kirk and red pills him. And then, let me hit this, because this is where everything starts dominoing, like severely dominoing. And I'm sure by Trump's own investigation that he conducted on his attempt, he found out who was involved and really scared him into playing ball. Now, let's see here. So you got Candace starting to rattle cages, Trump and friends reaching out to her to get her to stop. You got Charlie Kirk's opinion on Israel starting to change, and he's starting to do his own investigating and uncovering a lot. He starts getting threatened. He lets his friends, who at least he thinks is his friends, know that he's going to have to leave the pro-Israel narrative. And apparently they weren't his friends. He gets red-pilled. Now, I know I'm right about where I need to be. He starts standing up for himself, which is the text messages, and he starts feeding people and outing them. He feeds Hammer to Dave Smith. He starts doing his rounds on people's podcasts. He starts doing his speaking up on his own podcast. He has Tucker Carlson come out and go Max. He has what else? He gets Ben Shapiro on his show and starts to confront him. But the unfortunate side is he's starting to recognize that he is living the Truman Show. And Candace even says it. And the more I look into this, it's a crazy how true it is. Down to maybe his wife being in on it. And then, where are we? So while all that's going on, simultaneously, in April, you've got Trump with this back and forth correspondence with Macron, Israel, Egypt, whoever, talking about Gaza and other things that are undisclosed behind closed doors. May 1st is when the device is ordered in Tennessee. Mid-June, Rob McCoy flies to Israel, and then the Google trends begin. Like literally the day after. Also, simultaneously, as the requests go in, the searches in Israel, then the requests for UVU come down the line. July, TPUSA people goes to scout UVU. UVU people suggest that they do it inside and not in the amphitheater. TPUSA insists that they do it in the amphitheater. Now, August, the beginning of August, French Legionnaires arrive in California for their exercise. And then it ends on the 25th. August 5th to the 6th, the Hamptons retreat, right as they're doing their exercise. And we all know how the Hamptons retreat went. They backed him into a corner. They started threatening Kirk to play ball. Kirk pretty much said, "Go fuck yourself," and also he declined the offer to go to Israel and this big donation from Israel to bring him to the next level. Operation Valhalla begins on August 24th to the 27th. It takes place in Minnesota, and guess what? That is an explosives unit. Not to mention, you've got Harpool and his guys starting on the 24th in Colorado. They're training for UVU, and you got the Sam 000 flight flying from DC to Colorado, from Colorado to Vegas, back to DC. It's like whoever that was like visiting everybody, like, hey, everything's in motion, do this, do that. Simultaneously, August 25th is when the device is done. And then Butch Hibbs, or someone from where Butch Hibbs lives, flies from where he lives in Utah, and goes to Tennessee, where the device is being made. And then we have Mitchell, piece of shit, douchebag, abusive guy, who's at Fort Huachuca for whatever real reasons, and on the 8th and the 9th, I'm putting everything away because I'm gonna have to finish this later. But he goes to Fort Huachuca. You got the flights going from Colorado to Fort Huachuca, then back to Tucson, where Erica lives, back to Fort Huachuca, getting in just in time for whoever's on that flight to possibly go to a hotel, check in, get a shower, possibly go out for the night, get seen by Mitch. The next morning, whoever came from Colorado, which would probably be Harpool because that's where he was training, end up at Fort Huachuca. So that's where we're at with this. You got Butch Hibbs, who no one knows, at least as far as on this side of the investigation, how he got to UVU. I mean, there's plenty of time to drive back. Probably would be a good idea to drive and not fly with an armed explosive, especially something small and deadly as that. You have it show him up to the event in his pocket, disappears once the event starts, and then you got the unfolding of events. You got Harpool turning something on. You got feedback. The feedback stops when Dan Flood, who is notified by the AV people that there's feedback, walks over, turns it off. Feedback goes away. You got what's his name, walk up to his questions. He says, hey, I'm about to ask the question. He arms it again, and Hartpool starts to walk away from his post for the first time. He's got his arm like this, holding something, and he's not looking. And unfortunately, because he's not looking, it blows a hole in his neck instead of his chest because he wasn't in position. The timing was slightly off. And everything unfolded, and all the lies and all the bullshit that we were fed was pre-planned, clearly. And they had to go with it. So, I'll be back. But I'm going to post this at least, so we're all up to date. I've got all the evidence so far. And I'm going to give it to you guys with solid videos breaking down each thing. But to more to be determined.